Hey there! After I finished my last big project, I felt like I needed something with less pressure. Making machines is awesome, but I'm yearning for some organic shapes right now. Lately I've been thinking a lot about living, just in general. Everything moves at such a breakneck pace, and I'm really bad at stopping to take a breath. Recently my partner and I went on a day trip to see the fall leaves and just take a break. It was so nice to be away from the hustle and bustle and work for a while. It's so nice to just live softly and slowly. This project is a reflection of that for me. And puns. Soft and slow and funny and weird. You've seen the title, so you know one of the puns, but in addition to it being a mush-room, it's also a bath-shroom. And like all nooks, it's starting out with a nuts.com box I rescued from the recycling. They have really good boxes, so sturdy. After getting the Nook dimensions, I grabbed a piece of 5mm foam and got to work cutting some planks for the flooring. I experimented a bit with the texture I wanted on the foam and found this wire brush created a really nice one. It's super subtle once I heat gun it, which makes it feel like boards that have been walked on for so long that the grain has smoothed out. If you want to see more details on how you can turn foam into wood, please check out my other video linked here. To make an old, cozy room, I knew I needed to have some kind of bricks. But it felt really heavy to have the entire wall bricked, so I ended up doing wainscoting. Wainscoting? How do you even say this word? With the brick just on the bottom. I've lost count of the number of times I've promised myself I'd keep things simple, and then I've gone overboard, but here I go again. I did consider using the 5mm foam to cut bricks like I did with the Diagon Alley, but no, I had to go and make actual bricks. At least I convinced myself to make a mold, and I didn't make them all by hand. I'm learning. After binging some wholesome shows and gluing bricks in place forever, it was finally time to paint them. I wanted to go for an old antique brick look and do a German schmear, so I mixed up some pastel brick colors: darker brown, sienna, orange, and red. After I had the base colors on, I did some light dry brushing in white to get the details and give it more of that German schmear look. I realized pretty early on that I couldn't do actual German schmear since you have to put the grout on, then wipe it away with water to reveal the brick again. If I did that, not only would the paper clay bricks have gotten soggy, the paint would have gotten ruined, and even the cardboard wall underneath would have been compromised. I used Dried-X to do the grouting, and with a little elbow grease and a lot of bad camera angles, I was able to pipe it into the cracks like icing. Isn't it cool how it's pink at first and then turns white when it's dry? It looks pretty convincing at the end. For the top of the wall, I mixed up a very pastel blue-green, which I thought would complement the bathtub and all the mushrooms I have in mind. To avoid getting the cardboard soggy, I bought some of those clear sticky swatches you can put on your wall and then paint to get an idea if you like the color, and I stuck those on the cardboard. After priming, I decided the color was just a bit too bright, and I added some Payne's Gray to tone it down. I think it's a much more relaxing color now. I've always wanted a clawfoot tub, so of course I couldn't let this bathroom go without one. And hey, now at least I finally own one! I used tinfoil to create a structure to build the body of the bathtub so it wouldn't collapse during baking. I absolutely love the look of this particular tub, so I went for that classic high back and fancy feet. After it was baked, I added a lip around the edge, baked again, and spent an eternity sanding it down before starting on the feet. They're simple loops of wire covered in clay. To make them fancy, I pulled out the design mold that I made for a mirror in another project and put them on the feet to look like fancy filigree. I painted the whole tub white, then later painted it a slightly ivory color instead and added some water staining. When I was happy, I covered the whole thing in a gloss Mod Podge for that porcelain finish. If I hadn't turned off my camera when I thought I was turning it on, you would have seen me make the basin of the sink. Sorry. The sink I'm referencing is this one, so let's make a couple legs to prop it up next to the wall. I made a tiny faucet and some little knobs and glued them to the sink before painting it white, then the same ivory as the bathtub and glossing it. I knew I wanted a big beam going across the room, so I grabbed my bag of random balsa wood and glued 4 pieces together to make a chunky beam. Off camera, I cut small window/skylight, and it was time to start taping the structure together. I got the measurements a little wrong the first time, so I had to go back, cut a little, and retape it all. I took some time to test fit the 2 bathroom fixtures so that I could sketch out the mushroom layout. Time for the best part, the mushrooms! There are so many varieties of mushroom in the wild, it was so hard to pick. I know these mushrooms don't live in the same areas and might not even be happy in a house, but I'm justifying it by saying this is a fantasy setting, a cute little fairy tale cottage that was abandoned and nature took over again. I made some turkey tails using several colors of polymer clay and created a cane so I didn't have to paint all those stripes. I used to make a lot of canes back when I did polymer clay jewelry, but I haven't done one in years. It was nice to get back to something old and forgotten. I experimented with inks to tint my translucent clays so that the end mushrooms would still have a little of that ethereal quality. To make the gills, I created a couple little clay textures that I could press the mushrooms into. There's a large convex one for the shelf-type mushrooms, 2 taller, thinner ones for more cup-shaped mushrooms, and later I made a concave one for the mushrooms with gills like this. If I could become a mycologist, I would. I made some purple fairy ink caps that turned out quite a bit more purple than the real ones, but like I said, it's fantasy. some pink Mycenia pura to hang out in the bathtub, some pink oyster mushrooms to crawl up the sink leg, and morels. As I was filming this, I deeply regretted my choice to make them out of solid dark brown and then dry brush the light parts. One of the coolest mushrooms I found was the Coprinopsis atramentaria, maybe? Which looks like it's dripping black ooze. I bought UV resin dyes to get my resin the right color, promptly put them away in a drawer, and completely forgot about them. So I made the drips clear, painted them in black, then put a thin clear coat on top so it was shiny again. I also experimented with coloring the clay with pastels and even some inks. It was a lot of fun, and now I have some new techniques I can try on future projects. I created a few more decorations for the room, like this little mirror. I created the frame trim out of clay and wood, then I made a mold so I can use this trim again anytime I like. I purchased some cuttable mirror from Amazon so I could get the right size, and since it was just a thin plastic, it's going to be a lot better for the Nook than a real glass mirror. I knew I wanted some art on the walls, so I whipped up 2 more little frames and used my new watercolor pencils to do quick art for the back wall. I've never used watercolor pencils before, so this is brand new to me. Last time I tried watercolors of any kind, I just made a mud puddle, so I think this was much more successful. Next up, moss everywhere. I bought this terrain material and used super glue to attach it, then soaked it in a mix of water and Elmer's glue to really lock it in place and stop little flakes from shedding everywhere. Later, I realized I could just mix the moss into the glue and then smush it in place. Oh, have you noticed? I got a new camera right in the middle of this project. I'm so excited. I've got so much more control now, but there's a lot to learn. My GoPro was pretty much screw on a lens, click record, but there are so many settings and it even autofocuses now, which is just great. I'm really looking forward to learning all the ins and outs about this. It's finally time to start assembling. I put the little amanitas on the mirror and even made a tiny shelf for the giant fairy ink caps. I completely underestimated how difficult it would be to tuck the turkey tails in the back corner, but eventually we got there with tweezers, a few drops, and a lot of awkward hand motions. Look at that zoom! The art looks so cute on the back wall! Time to add the Crepidotus mollis up the wall. The little goth shrooms will hang out in the back corner and the sink will go under the mirror, sheltering the porcelain fungus. The puffs had found their home under the bathtub, and the little morels will hang out near the front. Are we done? Nope! We can still see all those crinkly cardboard edges. Much better. This was an incredibly fun project for me, getting to combine my love of mushrooms with my love of crafting and a good pun. I'm just really happy with how it turned out and how different it looks with different lighting. As always, there is something in here with glow-in-the-dark paint. Ta-da! I got a wonderful surprise when I was charging the paint with my UV light. Apparently, some of my clay actually fluoresces. It's so magical! Thanks for coming with me on my soft, slow journey. I really hope you like this project as much as I did, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.